Let's start off with a familiar situation we've all been in before. You walk into a room and you have to introduce yourself to a new group of people. You might start off with, hey, my name's Brett, I work in robotaxis in Silicon Valley, and on the side, I have a hustle as a bartender. But while it's intimidating at first, introducing yourself is actually the easy part. Because right after that, you're faced with an onslaught of names flying at you faster than you can comprehend. James, Josh, Jesse. Before you know it, all the names you just learned have slipped through your head, and all of a sudden, you're grasping at straws trying to figure out who is who. In fact, if I was a betting man, which I'm not because my mom's in the audience today, but if I was, I'd be willing to bet you guys would have remembered Silicon Valley or bartender from my introduction. But if I asked you for my name in conversation, that may be a tricky one. So let me reintroduce myself. My name is Brett McGonigal, and today I want to talk about how networking is at a crossroads. We're far too concerned about the transactional outputs of job title and company affiliation, and we need to start reconnecting with each other as human beings. Today I'm going to go over a few things I've picked up along the way to help me make lasting relationships that count. And so before we get there, I want to talk about job searching right now. Because if you're in today's job market, you probably look something like this. It's incredibly frustrating. We throw in an application somewhere, and it gets tossed away by a screening system. Or sometimes companies are posting jobs that weren't even available in the first place. So how do we increase our chances? The only way we can reliably do it is if we have an in. In fact, referred candidates are 7 times more likely to land a job compared to their cold application counterparts. So what does that mean? Networking has always been important, but our networking strategy and how we get there is far more effective. And so to put this into practice, I'd like to go over one of the most challenging job hunts I ever had in my career, going to Asia for work. And so what started off as an exciting challenge, I love languages, turned into a daunting task. How was I going to compete against local engineers when I didn't have a grasp on the culture and I didn't really understand the language? And unfortunately, having an absolute heater of a Duolingo streak didn't get me anywhere. And so I turned to the darkest corner of the internet for networking. We all know it. It's shallow, it's fake, but oh baby, is it powerful. The almighty LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn, as with any tool, the amount of skill you have can change what you can get out of it. And so I started asking myself questions. The first one being, who do I even reach out to? There's like 1 billion people on this app. And so I turned out to what you have when you get friends as kids. You find things in common. And so I always started reaching out to Queen's alumni. Alumni of your university, you have a shared set of experiences to go off of. But I quickly ran out of alumni in Taiwan. And soon I started reaching out to anyone I could find that was Canadian. And it went like this. It said, hey, you're Canadian. Get this, I'm Canadian. I think we have something to talk about. The next thing was, what should my connection request be? How do I bait that hook so someone actually cares and wants to talk to me? And the problem with LinkedIn was we are far too transactional. It's like we're trying to squeeze the value out of someone like they're a lemon. In fact, I realistically got this message after. They said, hey, I saw you work in robotaxis. Can I get a referral? No, I have no idea who you are. How can I possibly refer you? But what if we change it and say, hey, Brett, I'm a Queen's student. I saw you're a Queen's alumni in tech, and I wanted to learn how you started in robotaxis. Can we chat about that? Yes, of course. It's so much better. And then what if they don't respond? In fact, the best part about LinkedIn is people don't respond. You might send 10 messages out, and only 2 people get back to you. What happened is you just filtered out 8 people that don't care about you, or they just don't have the time to care about you. And you're left with 2 people that genuinely want to help you, make you a better person. And the last thing is you're in that coffee chat. You get 30 minutes with that person you want to talk to. What do you say? Why don't you start having creative questions? What's the most exciting part of your job? What's something that surprised you in your career? Or even better yet, talk about stuff that's not work-related. Are there any skills you learned outside of your work that helped you? And so I could stand on stage right now and rant about LinkedIn for the next 3 hours, but that's not the point. In fact, LinkedIn didn't land me a job in Asia. In fact, LinkedIn didn't land me a job anywhere. It's simply a tool for getting the conversation started. But after that, our networking strategy is what carries us through to the next portion. So going back to the Taiwan story, I chatted David. David was a Queen's alumni working in Taiwan. And he said, Brett, I don't really think I can help you that much, but you should talk to Somya. So I talked to Somya. I was like, hey, Somya, I don't know what I'm doing, man. I am trying to get this job, but I don't know how to even start. And so Somya was like, that's great, nice to know, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't have any time for me. And so I was stuck. What do I do next? I pulled out my secret weapon. My secret weapon was a vlog. Nothing is more personalized to someone than a 1-minute vlog telling them why you want to talk to them. And so I did, but it doesn't need to be perfect. I said this to Somya, I butchered his name, and the thumbnail looks like I'm praying to the heavens that he listens to me. But he did. And so the next thing is, you have to talk to Surjit, one of my students. He's in biomedical devices manufacturing. So I talked to Surjit. I said, look, I saw you're a foreigner. You're working in Taiwan. I'm trying to do the same thing. Can you help me out? He's like, you know what? This is a good fit for me. I'm going to get you an interview with my manager on Monday. Don't blow it. And so I didn't. I got the job. But is that where the story ends? Woohoo! No. In fact, I asked the question, who thinks they're going to have the same job for their entire career? Ultimately, our success is not based on just one job we got. It's based on the relationships we cultivate throughout our entire lifetime in professional services. And so I was very excited about the job, but ultimately I was more concerned about the people that helped me get there. And so I said to David, I said, let's meet up for coffee. And we did. We went to Taipei. He told me all about his Queen stories when he was a student, and how there used to be these epic food fights that no longer exist. And then I talked to Somya. Somya treated me to his favorite Indian restaurant in Taiwan, and he said, look, I think you're doing great things, just keep it going. And then I talked to Surjit, who showed me the ropes at my new gig, but he also showed me the ropes to a new way of life. But let me take a step back a little bit. Did I only reach out to 3 people when I was trying to go to Taiwan? No. I reached out to several more. So before I even hit the tarmac, I had an entire network of people that wanted to help me out, and I wanted to chat to as well. And so this begs another question. Isn't it more rewarding to meet people instead of filling your inbox with rejection emails? Here's Chi. He's a coffee entrepreneur working in the mountains. He said, Brett, I don't think I can help you at all. If you make it, by any chance, come on up and we'll show you how it's really done in the coffee industry. I said, sure, let's do it. And we did. Then I had dinner with Henry. At dinner, he says, Brett, you got a bike? And I was like, I got a bike. And so we went for a tour around Taipei, and that's how I learned how to navigate my new city. And then I went to the Taipei 101 with Ching. She was a recruiter at a company that flat out rejected me, but she said, I love your energy. I'd love to chat. And so we did. And lastly, Rick. He was someone who said, I love you as well, but again, I can't help you. And he said, I feel really bad. But Rick actually lied to me that day. He said he couldn't help me because he did in more ways than I could have ever imagined. Every week for months leading up to this trip, we were on Mandarin calls trying to sharpen my language skills because, boy, I needed a lot of help. And so going back to this, I don't want to stand on stage right now and tell you how I'm a social animal, because that's not the point. The point is, this is how you can fix your networking strategy. We need to stop thinking about those short-term goals and start thinking about those long-term relationships that power us throughout an entire career. And so this doesn't happen magically. I'd like to leave you with a few tips I've learned along the way to make that happen. And the first thing is to remember names. This was the #1 thing I learned as a bartender, to connect with your patrons. Why does it work? Well, it's because 85% of people forget someone's name the instant they learn it. So if you can put yourself in that 15%, automatically you're putting yourself head and shoulders above everyone else. The next thing is asking good questions. We always say small talk is inauthentic and draining, and everyone hates it. So why don't we stop talking and start listening? Ask questions that are personalized towards the person you're talking to, so you don't have to work as hard. The next thing is a smile. I had braces for all of high school, so when I got those puppies off, I couldn't stop smiling. When someone says something you find interesting, smile and nod to show them that you're actively listening and you care. And the last thing is to follow up and follow through. All of this doesn't matter if you can't give a bleep enough to check in. We always say after you have a nice conversation with someone, we say, hey, let's keep in touch. Let's make sure we keep in touch for a long time. And we never do. That's a huge problem. And so if something good happens for someone, check in, congratulate them. Something bad happens, last year there was an earthquake in Taiwan, check in and see if they're okay. It goes a long way in maintaining those relationships that matter so much for you. And the last question, how do I know if I've made a real connection? Ultimately, if we really care about someone, we can ask ourselves another question. How would I feel if that person disappeared today? Ultimately, it shouldn't feel good. It should leave you with a hole. Unfortunately, I faced the reality with this. In second year university, when one of my best friends passed away from cancer. It was devastating. But the reality is, I had a silver lining where I understood what it meant for someone to be so important to me, ripped away. And so, forgetting the professional aspect of this, with your friends and with your family, invest your time into them while you can. And don't wait for that realization to hit you. So let's go back a little bit to that room we started off at the start. You walk in, and instead of trying to unwind a tangle of job titles and company affiliations, start seeing the room differently. Start seeing individuals and not just their business cards. We've seen that building these relationships can have lasting benefits for years, past whatever job you've gotten. If we can remember names, if we can ask good questions, if we can smile, and if we can follow up and follow through, we transcend the tired playbook of swapping job titles and hoping something sticks. Instead, we build a network that's rooted in trust, care, and respect, where we can uncover unexpected opportunities that we would have never seen before. And in a world that's becoming increasingly connected through social media, we find ourselves longing for a real connection because everything is so shallow and impersonable. These connections and relationships are the firepower to your success and the currency of what your professional career can be. And ultimately, it's the competitive advantage of a network like this that can leave you unforgettable. Thank you.